Hi, Dr. Kate here. Inner leadership work with entrepreneurial women who are ready to define success in a way that is more supportive, sustainable, and full of serenity. So, tonight I would like to talk about how structure can be super supportive for us in our lives when we are working on creating new behaviors, new perceptions, new choices. And how do we do that in a way that is loving and flexible? When I'm working with people, I find that there's a tendency for some people to be very structured to the point that they don't have any space or time for themselves outside of the next thing that they need to do. And I would call that too rigid of a structure, where there's not space for the person to breathe, to have some, downtime, or to have some flexibility based on how they're doing. Then I have folks who really struggle with having any structure or routine at all, because there's sort of this rebellious sense that structure means that you're being kind of forced to do something. And the thing is that structure really is a very loving part of our lives when we do it in a way that is loving. So what does loving structure look like? Well, loving structure means that, for example, let me come up with an idea. Like if I am working on exercising and I know that getting a little more exercise is going to be super beneficial for me emotionally, mentally, and physically. But I don't want to get into this I gotta go work out, and then I'm hating myself when I don't make it to the gym. That would be a not so loving way of having structure. However, if I say to myself, Kate, let's pick 3 days a week, or at least know that 3 times a week we're going to try and go work out and do something we want to do. So it doesn't have to look like the gym. It doesn't have to look like walking or running. I can have 5 things that I know I could do to go work out, and I'm going to give myself permission to create the space as I find my days rolling through the week that I'm going to dedicate time for that workout. And I get to pick that day. What do I really want to do? Do I want to go swim, or do I want to go walk? Maybe I'm feeling a little tired. But I create some space to be tuned into myself about, I want to work out, but I don't want to go to the gym. So then I give myself permission to find other things I can do that are sufficient, that are supportive still as a kind of a workout for me. And we would call that a flexible, supportive structure. I'm going to go work out 3 times this week, but I'm going to define the way I'm doing it on the days that I create the space for it. I might even figure it out in the morning. Like, do I want to go work out today? And sometimes I'm going to be like, no, I'm not going to work out today, but tomorrow that means I got to go work out, and I can figure out what I want to do some sort of exercise that feels good to me, right? So this is really, again, kind of tricky for some people because it sort of feels like it has to be all or nothing. And for a lot of us perfectionists out there, we can create this tension around it has to be all or nothing. And then we end up rebelling and we don't want to do any of it. And then we're self-loathing and self-judgmental because now we didn't do it, right? And this is the cycle. So creating a structure that's loving is about being more of your own best friend and being like how you would be with a girlfriend, right? Where you're encouraging her. You're like, you could do anything. Just pick 3 days and do something you want. You'd be loving. You'd be supportive. You'd be flexible around how she's going to go do that because you really just want her to do it and follow through for herself. And so I want you to imagine that you're doing that for yourself. You're being that loving best friend who's saying, come on, let's go find something. Do we want to just do some stretching and some walking? Or do we want to dance? Or what do we want to do to be active and present in our body? Because we know being active and present in our body is an essential piece of having well-being. If we live in our head, we are walking around dissociated, and we are missing out on the full experience of being present. We're missing out on the energy and the consciousness of being aware in our bodies. We're missing out on so much. And this is when we get tired. This is when we get burned out at work. This is when we get stuck in overworking patterns because we're not even present to realize that we're exhausted. So the body consciousness is just part of what comes when we practice being present in our bodies. Okay, and so we're talking about flexible structure as an example of how we could start being more present in our bodies, but we can apply it anywhere. It might be structure around trying to eat a little healthier or trying to get to sleep and sleep better. But for now, I was just using it as an example with exercise because that's often a tricky thing for a lot of women in business to make time for. We kind of let it fall to the bottom of the list because it feels like the least important thing, when really for you to be your awesome, right on, powerful self at work in your mind, being in your body is key. Like, you cannot be as focused, as creative, as productive if you're not in your body. So that's why I'm bringing that example in, because I make that a really important, clear value with the women I work with, how important it is for them. And they don't even realize it. And then after they know that, they're like, oh, this has got to be at the top 5 most important things I get done today, is I make sure I show up in my body and I go get some exercise and I go be present in it, right? So structure is about how we support ourselves to create those changes slowly and lovingly and with real flexibility that isn't letting us off the hook, but it's not being rigid and controlling with ourselves either. So it's this nice little balance. And that is what I have found to be the most successful way for us to start initiating those changes and creating new habits. So we have this structure that can ebb and flow and be kind, but it also creates some place as a boundary and barrier to help support us to follow through. So think about what you could do to be a little more clear with some structure around one area of your life, possibly around being present and exercising, and try it on. See how it feels, see what you notice, see what happens when you're loving about it, not super rigid and judgmental about it, and let me know. I find it to be very powerful. And if you're really struggling to find out how to create flexible, loving structure, that's one of my favorite things to help women with. And I'd love to jump on a call and hear what you're struggling with and see how I can support you. I am opening my practice right now for 3 new one-to-one clients only within this month. And if you're interested, I would like you to reach out to me soon because those are going to go pretty quick. And right now, I just have this space that I'm offering up. So reach out, find me through my email, through my website, katedow.com. PM me, that's fine too, and be in touch. All right. Best of luck. Bye.